book, 60 Years of Orioles Magic, is a wonderful look back at the history of the franchise, going back to the initial season in 1954. It is nearly 300 pages of photos and memories. Now, the book was written by former Baltimore Sun baseball writer and beat writer for the Orioles, Jim Henneman. And we asked Jim to reflect on the memories of 60 years of Orioles Magic, especially the last World Championship season of 1983.
Magical, I guess, in a way. And really, it wasn't a magical season. It was a magical 2 months. It was like the middle of August. They were in the midst of like a 7 or 8 game losing streak, as I recall. And it was then that they kind of took off. Then it became just a lot of pieces falling in place. Tito Landrum hitting a home run in Chicago, and in the playoffs, one of the most unbelievable home runs I've ever seen in my life, into a win that you would guess nobody would ever hit a ball out of that ballpark that day. I think that run there from really the middle of August to the end of October was magical.
And it was magical for Dempsey.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's no question about it. And actually, one of the things that and within an hour of the celebration of that, he uttered the classic line that I used to start a chapter in his book, was when he said, "Now comes the tough part." And Lord knows, then came the tough part, because even, you know, from that point on, even though they were respectable for another year or two, it became a tough time.
Okay, Cal shows up. Was there any hint of the icon he would become?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, you know, you had that. I mean, he had the senior mentality. He had Cal Ripken's senior mentality of, you know, coming to work every day, and you knew that. I mean, if you were around senior, you knew what senior was like, and you knew that was what his whole family was like. I mean, you know, mom, dad, the kids are all going to be pretty much the same. I mean, you know, that's just the way they were. So the standpoint that he's going to want to play all the time, no. But I remember Jimmy Williams was his AA manager in Charlotte, and Jimmy Williams was a believer that you should get a couple of days off. And so Cal said, well, he'll take his at the end of the season. You know, give me the last 2 games off or something. But he never, and he pretty much played. I mean, if we went back and looked at it, he probably missed more games in the big leagues at the beginning of his career than he did in the minor leagues. So I think that part of it was set in. But was he gonna go, you know, 26-32? I mean, you know, come on, you know, nobody's going there. And I can remember sitting in the dugout the day he came bouncing off the field and kind of rolled his ankle a little bit, being very playful. And Earl said something like, you know, wouldn't that be a way to end the thing? Well, in fact, he did roll an ankle in a game, and if it had not been for the fact that the next day was an off day in an exhibition game in Annapolis against the Naval Academy, he would have had that streak broken early on. Which means it wouldn't have been 2,600; it'd probably only been 2,200.
Andy MacPhail was brought in to change the culture of the franchise. It was 14 lean years, and he had the task of dismantling it and putting it back together. And maybe his best move was hiring Buck Showalter. How, in all of the years, I mean, obviously Earl is the icon of the managers here, but how critical was his arrival to what is going on now?
Andy, you know, I think Andy was like the silent makeover artist. I mean, because Andy did everything on a quiet. I mean, he quietly did a great job here of doing what needed to be done. He came in, assessed the situation, and there are people that'll tell you that the Eric Bedard trade was a no-brainer, but I guarantee you, it wasn't unanimous to make that trade. Eric Bedard had a great year the year before, and there were some people, especially in this pitching, you know, in the pitching era, you don't trade your best pitcher. But there were other things. There were other trades and things that Andy did quietly. I don't think that it turned around as fast as he would have liked it to. And then when he brought Buck in, I think he kind of felt like he had the table set pretty good. You know, I kind of think Buck would have liked to seen him hang on for another year or so and get with it. But, you know, Buck is not going to back down. I mean, in his own way, I'm sure when Buck came in here, he already had a battle plan in the back of his mind, and not just as a manager, but in effect as an assistant general manager. I mean, he doesn't have the title maybe, but trust me, there's not a whole lot going on that doesn't involve Buck. when it comes to decisions with this organization now.
Finally, Jim, we do need to talk about Camden Yards here. I mean, Memorial Stadium had outlived its usefulness date-wise. It happens all over. How critical to, especially now with the franchise doing well, was getting what is the model for all new ballparks and has been since this opened up to further legitimize the franchise within the American League?
Big time, and this is coming from somebody who grew up within 3 blocks of the old stadium. Coming down here and watching this come up, there were things about it. I remember asking Jan and Marie Smith, what about Russell Street? Looks like Russell Street's going to move. Well, yeah, Russell Street did move, you know, and foul balls are not going to go into Russell Street. We've been here, what, 23 years now, and there still hasn't been a foul ball on Russell Street, at least to my knowledge. So, and now we're sitting here talking about what, the 8th or 9th, I forget which, oldest ballpark in America. And I saw a recent poll, and they said, you know, it was ranked number 2. And anything it's, you know, everything that's behind them is all copycat. So, yeah, I think it's been marvelous. I love that. The fact that what it's done for downtown, it's a great facility, and I think it's been tremendous. I think it's been unbelievably good for the city. I really do.